It rises like a helicopter, then flies like a jet. It defies terrain, outruns typhoons, and lands where others can't. In the age of climate chaos and rising regional tensions, one aircraft is changing how the Philippines responds to crisis. And today, at Clark Air Base, that aircraft took center stage. The MV-22 Osprey, America's hybrid titan of the skies, is no longer just a symbol of U.S. air power. It's now a partner in Philippine survival. Welcome to Pinoy Guard, where we break down the real stories behind Philippine defense. Today's episode, how the MV-22 Osprey led a joint U.S. Philippine simulation to deliver life-saving aid, and what it means for our national readiness. Stay with us until the end as we uncover how this single aircraft could shape future operations in the South China Sea, enhance our Rehorizon 3 modernization plan, and fortify Philippine sovereignty without firing a single shot. On a humid morning at Clark Air Base, the unmistakable whir of tiltrotor blades pierced the sky. Moments later, a massive MV-22 Osprey emerged, hovering like a helicopter, then transitioning mid-air into high-speed forward flight. This wasn't a show of force, it was a simulation of hope. Under the leadership of Secretary of National Defense Gilberto C. Teodoro Jr., U.S. Ambassador Mary Kay Carlson, and AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Brawner Jr., a high-profile Joint Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Response (HADR) exercise was held. The mission: deliver family food packs (FFPs) to flood-stricken regions using military-grade logistics. The star performer, the MV-22 Osprey. These FFPs, produced by the Department of Social Welfare and Development, DSWD, contain rice, canned goods, coffee, and hygiene supplies. Today, 4,800 of them were loaded and delivered, with many prepositioned for distribution in far-flung areas like Batons. Let's take a moment to understand why the MV-22 matters so much. This isn't your typical transport aircraft. The MV-22 Osprey is a tiltrotor marvel, combining the vertical lift of a helicopter with the long-range speed of a turboprop plane. That means it can take off from tight spaces, fly faster than a chopper, and land nearly anywhere. Quick specs. Speed, 500 kilometers per hour. Range, 1,600 kilometers without refueling. Payload, 9,000 kilograms. Troop capacity, up to 24 fully equipped personnel. Flight ceiling, over 25,000 feet. It can land in mountains, islands, remote jungle villages, or destroyed urban centers, delivering either food, equipment, or soldiers. And in today's demo, it did just that, swiftly loading DSWD food packs and flying them to simulated disaster zones with military-grade coordination. This is precision logistics at its best. Now here's where it gets even more impressive. Within just 6 hours of notification, elite airmen from the 353rd Special Operations Wing, based in Yokota, Japan, pivoted from regular training operations and deployed directly to the Philippines. These rapid responders, using the MV-22 Osprey variant, demonstrated how fast and flexible this platform really is. Imagine that. From training in cold northern Japan, to loading critical aid in hot central Luzon, to flying into hypothetical flood zones in a single day. This is more than a humanitarian mission. It's a strategic test, one that shows how future missions to Palawan, Calayan, or even Sabah could unfold. What does this mean for the bigger picture? In today's complex world, military response is no longer just about combat. It's about capability. The Osprey isn't just a flying truck. It's a force multiplier. In the event of a natural disaster in Baikal, a military flashpoint near Scarborough Shoal, or a logistics crisis in eastern Visayas, the MV-22 can be the first aircraft on site, delivering aid or reinforcements before traditional transports even arrive. And under Rehorizon 3, that's exactly the kind of response the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, wants to master. Rehorizon 3, 2023 to 2028, is the AFP's modernization program focusing on joint interoperability, maritime and aerial mobility, defense posture in the South China Sea, and resilience to disaster and climate change. This joint HADR simulation checks all those boxes. Joint coordination between the AFP, U.S. forces, and civilian agencies. Mobility across island chains. Airlift logistics under stress. Public trust through life-saving aid. The presence of the MV-22 and the 353rd Special Operations Wing supports Rehorizon 3's key goal: a self-reliant, allied, and adaptive defense force. Let's talk about logistics and cost. Each DSWD food pack costs around 200 pesos. So today's 4,800 packs represent 960,000 pesos, or roughly 17,000 US dollars. But transporting them aboard the Osprey? That's not cheap. Each MV-22 Osprey flight hour can cost between 11,000 to 13,000 USD, about 640,000 to 750,000 pesos. Add fuel, maintenance, and pilot training, and you begin to see the scale. So why use them? Because when time is the enemy and lives are at stake, speed and reach win. It's not just about saving money. It's about saving lives. And thanks to joint training, Filipino forces are learning how to operate and support such advanced platforms, building the knowledge needed for future capability acquisition. During the simulation, Secretary Teodoro addressed a crowd of military observers and aid officials. He said, "Our partnership is premised on a fundamental value, the irreplaceable worth we place on every human life." He continued, "To our treaty partners, the United States of America, we say thank you, and this will not be the last time." Ambassador Mary Kay Carlson echoed that sentiment, reaffirming Indo-Pacific's support for logistics missions and emergency supply prepositioning, especially in monsoon-prone areas. This wasn't just a speech. It was a strategic reaffirmation of U.S. Philippine cooperation, not just for combat readiness, but for humanitarian survival. Let's connect this to the West Philippine Sea. China's maritime militia continues to harass Filipino fishermen and obstruct supply missions to BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal. In that environment, mobility and speed are critical. Imagine this. An emergency unfolds in Pag-asa Island. Weather is hostile. Commercial aircraft can't land. but the MV-22 can. It can deliver supplies, extract wounded, or deploy Marines in hours, not days. The simulation at Clark isn't just for floods. It's a message. We are ready, and we are not alone. Some ask, do joint operations with U.S. forces weaken Philippine independence? On the contrary, they empower it. Every joint simulation, every flight hour, and every load delivered by an Osprey trains our personnel, sharpens our doctrine, and improves our response. Philippine sovereignty is not weakened by alliances. It is protected by preparedness. If the Philippines ever acquires its own tiltrotor or high-speed airlift platforms, these simulations will be the foundation. From disaster response to territorial defense, the MV-22 Osprey is more than just an aircraft. It's a flying classroom, a strategic asset, and a lifesaver. Today, at Clark Air Base, we didn't just witness food being loaded into aircraft. We witnessed training, trust, and technology in action. We witnessed the AFP and U.S. forces working not for war, but for the Filipino people. The MV-22 Osprey may fly under a U.S. flag, but its mission today served our communities, our islands, and our future. This is Pinoy Guard, reminding you that modern defense is more than weapons. It's partnerships, preparation, and people.